Sam the Cooking Guy, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Some call him a fool, some even call him a douchebag. But I say Greg Rempe is the greatest thing to happen to barbecue since caveman.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike your match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Really Big BBQ Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things, all of them, that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and survival show. If you're watching this evening, if you're listening this evening, and you feel compelled to jump in, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show, you can find at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now. We missed him last month. He was out of the country, and the time zones weren't adjusting properly to do an out-of-country interview to keep with the normal monthly segment. However, he is back. He is a Barbecue Hall of Famer, an author, a James Beard Award winner, and the list goes on. None other than the creator of Barbecue Bible, Stephen Raichlen, makes his triumphant return to the Barbecue Central Show jungle, and we will catch up with Stephen, what he did in France. Of course, July 4th is now weeks away, and a few weeks away at that, so we'll talk to him about menus for those people that like to cook. We'll talk to him about menus for those people that don't like to cook, how they vary and how they might be the same, all that fun stuff. Then we will move to 35 past the hour. First-time guest, the product manager at Oklahoma Joe's, Zach Miron, will join us. The balance of the conversation will be taking up with my new favorite love, which is the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX pellet cooker, and we'll talk about the genesis of that. As you would recall, Oklahoma Joe's was founded by Oklahoma Joe Davidson, friend of this show, also Barbecue Hall of Famer, offset pits only in the beginning 30 years ago, 35 years ago, whenever it was back in the early/mid-'80s. And then there was the sale of the company to W.C. Bradley, and now you see, I was going to say Charbroil, which is part of the W.C. Bradley umbrella. Now you see Oklahoma Joe's with barrel cookers, upright barrel cookers, pellet cookers, offset pits, the list goes on. So they have certainly diversified within the brand there, and we'll talk to Zach about why they decided to get into the pellet game when there's a host of other pellet manufacturers out there, and what sets this current version apart. We'll also get into a little nerdyism with differences between version 1 and version 2. Currently, version 2 is out, but there was a version 1 a couple years ago. That was the original launch. So we'll talk to Zach Miron, first-time guest, about all the Rider DLX stuff. And then we'll move into the second hour. Much like Stephen Raichlen just happened to miss last month, my guest in the second hour missed his quarterly visit at the end of June, but we will welcome back in victorious fashion Daniel Vaughn, the Texas Monthly's barbecue editor. So, unlike Stephen only missing a month, Daniel missed 3 months since his last visit. So we will have a bunch of stuff to catch up on, not the least of which is his counterpart. I don't know if they're colleagues because technically they don't work together, although they do cover a similar topic out there in the Texas area, that being Chuck Blount, newfound guest here in 2022, food/barbecue writer for the San Antonio Express News, and his findings of smoked hamburgers coming more and more on the menu. Also, we'll talk to Daniel about this new thing that's happening in Texas. Not new to most of us, but I guess new to Texas, which is more of a direct/high heat grilling of chicken. That seems to be gaining a lot of favor, of course, because crispy chicken skin is way better than rubbery smoked chicken skin that people are going to look at, go, that looks really pretty, and then take it off in one piece and chuck it against the wall just to see if it sticks. Now you can eat the whole thing from start to finish, and few things are more delicious, more indulging, and more gluttonous than eating chicken skin. It makes you feel all wonderful and all self-loathing all at the same time. So we'll talk to Daniel all about that, plus many other items, some Barbecue Hall of Fame stuff, all that. Now, with any open time we have after Daniel, we will fire up the game show machine, go into the prize closet. You might have a chance to win something. We'll see. But who knows? Daniel could take the balance of the second hour, and we'll call it a day at the end of the show from there. So that's what's happening here this evening. Don't forget, you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. Live video feeds of the show can be found at Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. Also over on YouTube/RD Rempe. And, of course, a live audio version of the show is happening on Clubhouse as we speak, with some of the show regulars taking it in there in the Clubhouse. So I want to start here tonight. I know somebody's watching. This is his second week in a row. He's very young to be listening to me. However, he does happen to be my nephew watching right now, and we welcome in a new fan of the show and a favorite of mine, Joe Clota. Joey, thank you for watching. Don't stay up too late, and we'll see you at your game tomorrow night. And by the way, his team won a makeup or a game resummation that happened here a little bit earlier this evening, so we congratulate him and his team on a win after being rained out, and then they delayed, and then like a week later, which was tonight, they made that game up. So happy to have Joey Board here on the Barbecue Central Show, trained watching live, because we do it live.
We'll do it live.
That's right. Also, notwithstanding that, I want to thank our barbecue pal, Johnny Maggs, for having me on his show earlier this evening. That was 5 o'clock Eastern. His show, of course, being the Pit Life Barbecue Show. Always fun for me to be a guest and talk a little show stuff, a little behind the curtain stuff, a little association stuff. So be sure to check out all of that if you missed it. Again, that happened at 5 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, a mere 4 hours ago. And you can get the replay right now over on YouTube if you subscribe over there at the Pit Life Barbecue. It'll just come right up there. And you can go in all ready to watch on the video archive, and I'm sure the audio archive will be released very quickly if it hasn't already. But I know how podcast feeds update, how quickly and non-quickly that happens, especially when you want to have something happen. Also, I've been getting message after message over the past week as people are catching up via the podcast about my take on side dishes at barbecue restaurants, and it appears that my stance on barbecue sides, who cares, isn't very popular with the majority of you. If having great side dishes is something that completes your barbecue experience, good for you. Eat all the life-changing side dishes you want, but guess what? I can go to 748 other restaurants in and outside of barbecue and get great sides. But you know what I can't get at all those other non-barbecue restaurants? Great barbecue. So please forgive me if all of the best barbecue restaurants start making world-class side dishes and I still don't give a shit about it. Furthermore, don't order them if I choose to go eat at those places, because side dishes to me are just that, side dishes, not main dishes. If I'm going to get a great barbecue restaurant experience in, I'm coming to eat the stars of the show, not the role players. Like many other things in life, I appear to be in the minority and I am just fine with that. You eat the sides, I'll eat the barbecue, and that's that. Dennis in Colorado writing in with some show feedback. Greg, great segment with Meathead last week. I have always wondered if you could actually taste the difference in wood/pellets. I found, for instance, that my father can't handle mesquite wood. It makes him sick, but other woods just fine. Also, the John Marcus segment, spectacular. You should consider adding a third hour and doing one of those in-depth interviews in the extra hour. Regards, Dennis. Dennis, always appreciate the feedback. Bill in Texas. Greg, I'm finally compelled to write into the show after hearing the John Marcus story. Wow, wow, wow. Pitching Bob Hope in person as a 19-year-old back in the day. Can you say brass balls? Pals with Al Franken, working with Bill Cosby on a daily basis. And his stories went on and on. Holy crap. I knew he did barbecue TV, but didn't realize the scope of what John had accomplished. Thank you for doing the story of John Marcus for us. How cool it must be for you to interact with him on and off air. Lucky you. Love the show. Been listening for 12 years. Regards, Bill. Bill, it is cool for me. And thank you for listening for 12 years, by the way. I love that. More on the John Marcus segment as we get through the show. Let me talk to you about Oklahoma Joe's. Since the company's humble beginnings in 1987, Oklahoma Joe's has helped those who appreciate the process of craft smoking. What began with Joe Davidson, a member of the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and a dozen hand-built smokers at the Oklahoma State Fair over 30 years ago has since forged an Oklahoma Joe's brand that builds some of the most sought-after smokers available today. Oklahoma Joe's has a proud history of creating unique, uncompromising smokers and grills that are carefully crafted. The design and the newest generation of the popular Rider series pellet grills carries on that tradition. The new features in the Oklahoma Joe Rider's Deluxe pellet grill include a Pit Control 2.0 system that delivers the category's first dual sensor temperature control. Fire-focused dual sensor feedback optimizes temperature control based on selected cooking style, low and slow smoking or high heat grilling. A power feed system that boasts a high torque auger motor that provides power to dig through all of the most demanding pellets, and you get the performance along with it. The new Rider Deluxe series builds on several popular features, including smoke and sear modes, which feature an impressive temperature range that runs from 200 degrees of smoking to a 650-degree searing hot high end, and a 20-pound quick drawer hopper that allows you to unload unused pellets in seconds for simple storage, removal, and swapping of pellet flavors, if you're into that. Where do you find out all about it? OklahomaJoes.com. That's OklahomaJoes.com. You can find out about all of that right there at the website, or go check one out in the retail location. Stephen Raichlen is ready to go. We will talk to him here in just 1 second. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. We will be back right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show, presented by the Rider Deluxe Pellet Grills from Oklahoma Joe's. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, creators of automatic pit temperature control devices, sellers of ceramic grills with built-in power draft fans, accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit bbqguru.com for more information, or call them 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continuing to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. It is the third Tuesday of a month, and that means it's time to do a segment with the icon of the industry, host of TV shows, the creator and host of the very popular and now airing Project Fire on PBS, a James Beard Award-winning author of some of the most important barbecue books on the topic. Let's race to the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX Pellet Grills hotline and welcome back our friend, Stephen Raichlen. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, how you doing?
I am fabulous. Appreciate you joining me here as you do each and every month. And as I had mentioned in the open, we missed you in May. We have you back here in June. But you were running around a little bit. You weren't in country, as we say. In fact, you were well out of the country. So what were you up to?
So I was eating and drinking my way through Europe. Hang on one sec. That was my reminder to call you. So
Right, great.
take that off. Good. Eating and drinking my way through Europe. It was part research trip, part pleasure. We flew into Spain, where in Barcelona I found a fantastic live fire restaurant, brand new, called Darvaza. Huge wood burning hearth, paellas cooked over an orange wood fire. 40-ounce steaks, slow smoked, and then hot seared, just amazing. From there, we went to France, where my book, How to Grill Vegetables, just came out in France. So I did a little publicity, had some very interesting grilling from a highfalutin Michelin-starred chef named Jean-Francois Piège at a restaurant called the Clover Grill. That's what it was called in English. The Italian portion of the trip was strictly vacation. I must say it was wonderful. Then we flew to Athens and joined up with the Windstar Cruise Line, where, I have these restaurants, the Star Grill by Stephen Raichlen. And so the third ship came out of the shipyard, and I was on board to check out the restaurant, do a little fine-tuning on the menu. Super fun.
As far as the vegetable book, I'm interested. Obviously, it does very well over here in the States. And you still get a little bit of a pushback on people grilling vegetables, and vegetables are just over here. But by and large, here, people have really adopted the live fire grilling, smoking of vegetables, adding them in on top of main dishes, or even using vegetables as main dishes, especially if you're not a meat eater. So we're making that nice turn. But as you go into other countries, for instance, France, as you were talking about doing this media, are they as attuned to accepting grilled vegetables? Is that something they have been into quite a bit, and maybe you're a little bit behind the curve? What's the attitude like over there?
Extremely welcoming. Come on, guys and gals. This is 2022. We're not all caveman just running around with a big, tomahawk. I mean, grilled vegetables are a thing. They've been a thing in Europe for decades, if not centuries. And I think Europeans are, like most of us, health-minded too. And, I love pastrami and brisket as much as the next guy. But, I also love grilled vegetables. And I recognize that meals should be healthy as well as meaty.
Where are you vacationing in Italy? You have property out there, or are you just jaunting about to some of the finer wine regions?
No, I wish we traveled down the coast of Italy, starting in Portofino, which is a beautiful little one-time fishing town and now very chic fishing town. We wound up on an island called Ischia, which has been likened to the Martha's Vineyard of Italy. You take about a 45-minute ferry. It's a very mountainous island. It's off the coast of Naples. And it's really it's spectacularly beautiful, great food, great seafood. It's not a beach town particularly. It's more craggy. It's more like the coast of Maine, I would say, than there are a few beaches, but they're not like our beaches in Martha's Vineyard or anything. But just something. Yeah, I did a TV show in Italy a few years ago, Stephen Raichlen Grills Italy. And ever since then, and with my rudimentary Italian, which I still try and practice every morning, I feel at home in Italy. I just love to be in Italy.
You had mentioned it was part work, part play. So on the work part, is this investigation for a new book that you already have in the pipeline to some degree?
Well, it's an investigation actually for a new TV show I'm working for. We've done 4 seasons of Project Fire, and I want to switch things up for the next show. So we're going to do a show called Planet Barbecue, and it's going to be a traveling, a grilling show, but with a strong traveling component to it. So, yes, I was scouting countries and restaurants that we might visit when we start taping that show.
A few weeks ago, Stephen, the James Beard Awards were handed out. A friend, mutual friend of ours, I would say, to a certain degree, snags another James Beard Award for his book, Black Smoke, that being Adrian Miller. You're also someone who's won James Beard Awards as well. As a writer, when you win something like this, does it give an added justification to the world that the winning book is really important and should be getting out there for people to read? Or is the win really just getting the book out there, and then whatever awards may or may not come is just a nice value add at the end of the whole book writing process?
Well, I would say it's a confirmation of your work, that your work is respected, that it's important, that it had an impact. That certainly is true of Adrian Miller's book, and I like to think it was true of my books. Remember, in the publishing cycle, your book has probably been out already for anywhere from 6 months to 10 months. So a publisher already believed in the concept, and your book has already been tested in the marketplace. Now, will a Beard Award accelerate sales? Possibly, can't hurt. If a book, not every book that is a fantastic book becomes a bestseller. So will an award like that bring renewed attention and perhaps renewed sales, renewed enthusiasm on the part of the publisher? Absolutely. It can't hurt. It definitely helps. And as an author, it makes you feel really terrific to be recognized by your peers.
Can winning one of those from a business perspective help you as an author, not you specifically, just talking in general, command perhaps a bigger advance on future books, or not really?
Well, to some extent, sure, it looks good. But really, I would say the size of your advance is determined by the success of your previous book. Well, that's if you're an established author, and you're writing a series of books. I mean, if you're a first-time author, the size of your advance is in part governed by how fantastic your idea is, but in very large part governed by your reputation, your celebrity already. I mean, if you're already a TV star or a social media star, chances are you're going to get a higher advance that somebody who has a breathtakingly revolutionary idea, but maybe an unknown.
Stephen Raichlen joining us here on the show, barbecuebible.com. That's me, a revolutionary who has actually nothing going for him. 2022 BBQ University.
Come on, man.
Self-deprecating.
You've been on the air. How many years have you been on the air?
14 live and then 2 before that, so 16 total.
Okay. Greg Rempe, I'm sure if you wanted to write a book, first of all, I'd be delighted to help you find a publisher, but I'm sure your time on the air would be very helpful.
All right, well, we may or may not revisit that down the road. 2022 BBQ University in the books took place actually a couple weeks ago, the 12th through the 15th. So if we missed it, what did we miss out on? What were some of the highlights?
Well, one of the highlights is we did a suckling pig from D'Artagnan, the quality meat purveyor. And, I always like to say that whole hog is the Mount Everest of barbecue. And, to ascend it is really, you work very hard, you cook all night. It's, it involves a lot of gear and time and money. But what if there were a way that you could do a whole hog in the grill you probably have in your backyard in 3 hours? Well, a suckling pig that's the answer. And, it serves 8 or 10 people, depending on the size. It looks fantastic. It's totally manageable, and it will prepare you for a larger hog. So that was one highlight. Another highlight, a dish from Turkey, actually. And by the way, on that crazy trip, I flew Turkish Airlines, and the last night we actually overnighted in Istanbul, found another fantastic grill restaurant. But at any rate, Turkey has a kebab that's very famous. It's called the Adana Kebab. And I guess it might be like the chorizo of Turkey, or the Italian hot sausage of Turkey. It's a spicy sausage. So we did Adana kebabs, and you could think of it as a skinless sausage that's molded around a flat skewer. We rigged up, in the U.S., most grills come with grill grates and lids, but in most of the world, a grill is actually a metal box without a grill grate. and you stretch the food you're going to cook in it either in a grill basket or on a skewer across the open space from one side to one side. So one of our students rigged up a Turkish-style grill. We did the Adana Kebab. That was amazing. Oh gosh, what did we do that was really fun? I mean, so many memorable dishes. We did my chocolate brownie, my cedar plank chocolate brownie s'more, which is always hugely popular. Interesting little twist there. The resort actually made these artisanal homemade marshmallows, and interestingly, they did not melt and brown as well as the cheapo marshmallows you would get at Costco. So
that's why you use Kraft American Singles on cheeseburger. They're plasticky, cheesy crap, but when it really counts to have a nice melt on a cheeseburger, then that's the one you want to go to, and everyone really loves to have put on there. So totally get that. Were there any standout students? Anybody pique your interest and go, wow, that guy or gal seems to be really into it or might be really skilled?
There was a very prominent social media influencer, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if you want me to or not. But
does it rhyme with
any rate?
Ooga?
No. But wasn't him. It was actually slightly different. It wasn't a grill influencer, but he turned out to have a background in the culinary arts. So, in any grilling class, there's sort of some people that need a lot of attention and coaxing, and then there are other people and you just set them on their way and they just do what has to be done and produce a beautiful result at the end. And that was the case. I must highlight that we had a number of alums at the school, including one alum who's been to the school 15 years in a row.
Holy, in a row?
Another alum. Yeah, in a row. Actually, she missed 1 year.
Wow.
And then two others. Let's see, one that's been with us 12 years, one 14. Wow. We had another that's been with us 4 years. And that's very gratifying, because it means that we must be doing something right.
No doubt about it. Stephen Raichlen joining us here on the show. So it sounds like BBQ University, another victorious session that is now disbanded. Is there going to be another one this year or next year?
No, next year will be the next one. And, you'll be able to find out when, where, and how on my website, which, of course, is bbqbible.com, all spelled out.
Because it will have already happened by the next time we reconvene, July 4th, obviously one of the biggest summer eating holidays every year, if not the biggest summer eating holiday. What menu items are you suggesting for those who like to cook and for those who perhaps don't like to cook but like to eat?
Well, for people who like to cook, I'd go either brisket or ribs. Brisket because you can smoke a big hunk of meat and carve it, and doesn't require a lot of last minute work, so you can spend time with your guests. Ribs because ripping animal bones apart and gnawing the meat off the bones, it's just doesn't get much more primal than that. If you want to have a little theme spirit, you can make a red, white, and blue sangria, or strawberries, blueberries, and whipped cream on grilled cake would be fine. If you don't like to cook, head over to crowdcow.com and order my Planet Barbecue brisket, ribs. We have new sausages. We have new burgers. They come all ready to go. So, it's great for people who maybe want to enjoy the holiday without standing by the grill.
Right, a little reheat, and away you go. You can perhaps pass it off like you were a pit master, and if anybody asks you where the cooking stuff is, say, never mind, just keep eating, and you're not paying for it. Away you go.
No, shamelessly steal it. I've been labor. The reason I have circles under my eyes. I was up all night smoking that brisket.
That's right. Planet Barbecue, crowdcow.com is the place you want to find out about that stuff if you're interested in. I wanted to ask you about a piece of cooking equipment. I saw you use it on Project Fire, and I've seen it in some of your social media posts. It looks like a suitcase. If you're familiar with the industry, you probably know what it is. It's called the Nomad Grill. I've actually seen Sam the Cooking Guy use it as well here not so long ago. What do you like about this cooker? Why would I want to be interested in this?
You know what I love about the Nomad? For so many years, portable grills were really cheap, poorly made, and sort of the philosophy was you use them a few times and then throw them out. This is super well engineered, high design, really smart. I mean, smart. It's what would happen if smart people tried to design the best portable grill they could rather than the cheapest portable grill that they could. Very thermodynamic. The two halves open up so you can really get as much grilling space on a portable grill as you want on a conventional kettle grill. It's a terrific machine.
And you have enough space from where the grill grate would be to where the fuel builds underneath it. It's not too close where you're dealing with ultra hot temperatures.
No, it really isn't. And, of course, you can manage your charcoal the way you would on any charcoal grill, which is mounted a little thicker at one end for hotter searing zones, spread out a little more sparsely on the other end. Nomad, in fact, sells their own proprietary charcoal that's a kind of a compressed charcoal. The other thing that's kind of cool about it, unlike most portable grills, you can also use it as a smoker, right? Because you can fold it in half, put the fire in one quadrant, the food in the other, and then with that lid that comes over it, it sort of simulates the dome you might have on a kettle grill. So it's good for smoking. And the funny thing, talk about portability and travel. I was on a radio show with a host in Montreal, and in the background there was a Nomad Grill. The guys that run it tell me that they are, I believe, in 30 or 40 different countries. So
really,
that Nomads have been spotted. So it's really nice to see someone take a cliched piece of equipment, a portable grill, and bring intelligence and function to it.
So we're getting new listeners each and every month, each and every week, however people are stumbling onto the show. I don't know what their level of outdoor cooking is with live fire. So for a summer treat, I've always told folks, especially when they're coming over just to eat and maybe they don't really know too much about it other than burgers and hot dogs, and tonight, aside from the main dish, I'm going to make a grilled salad, and the eyes get wide and they're like, what do you mean grilled salad? What's your best recipe on grilled salad, and what do you like about it?
Well, probably the best and easiest and most logical recipe would be a grilled Caesar salad. And I discovered that at Walt's Wharf in Seal Beach, California, back when I was writing BBQ USA. So that was a couple decades ago. So it's not really new. Beauty of a grilled Caesar salad, you start with romaine lettuce, which is a firmer, more robust salad to begin with. You cut it in half, wash it out very thoroughly, and then you char it over a hot fire. I love to work on a wood fire because what happens is the smoke sort of creeps up in between those spaces, between the corrugated leaves, adding a dimension of flavor. When I make mine, it's kind of deconstructed. I like to serve the salad part in half heads of romaine lettuce. And then I put the garnish, that is the anchovies, the croutons, the eggs, the creamy Romano cheese dressing on top. So it's a salad you really eat with a knife and fork. I have also, in the vegetable book, How to Grow Vegetables, I smoke Boston lettuce leaves using that technique you may remember from Project Smoke, where you can use hay tossed on coals. You keep your grill cool, keep the lettuce far away from the fire. And smoke, has this funny, magical umami quality where you bite into a piece of smoked lettuce. And of course, it's familiar. It looks like lettuce. It crunches like lettuce. But there's something otherworldly about it that is so intriguing and delightful. So yes, please grill your salads.
No doubt. We are talking with Stephen Raichlen. You can find him over at barbecuebible.com and on your televisions currently for Project Fire. Stephen, always appreciate the time, and we will see you in July.
Absolutely. Happy 4th, everybody. Grill
All right,
on.
take care. Stephen Raichlen right there.
All guests appear via the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX Pellet Grills hotline.
And if you haven't tried grilled salad, what are you waiting for? It's delicious. I'm telling you. Your guests get over, you're like, okay, blah, 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 we're going to have all this other stuff, and then we're going to have some grilled salad in the end. What? Grilled salad? So easy, too. 1.5, 2 minutes on medium-high heat, and away you go. Then dress it and top it and do whatever else you want to do on your own. It's good stuff. We thank Stephen Raichlen. As always, barbecuebible.com, his website. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot for high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday ceramic grill lineup? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker, not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grills and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there are more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker, so you're only limited by your imagination. Plus, they have the accessories to go with it. The Primo Grill rotisserie, the pizza accessory, the half-drip pan, the rib rack, the list goes on. Here's the bottom line. The best ceramics in the biz, patented technology, true two-zone cooking capabilities, multiple sizes, and yes, if you just have to have a round ceramic cooker, they have those too, but they have plenty of other bigger sizes, varying sizes of the oval. So consider that. Only sold through dealers. Find one near you, primogrill.com. That's primogrill.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well. And we are back with first-time guest, Zach Miron, right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show, presented by the Rider DLX pellet grills from Oklahoma Joe's. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
We thank Stephen Raichlen for joining us last segment. This portion being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also see what other cool things they have to enhance some smoke flavor in your cooking devices. Cookinpellets.com. We all know that I had some initial issues with my Oklahoma Joe Rider DLX pellet cooker, which have since been resolved, thank goodness. But going through that, I thought about what the behind the scenes looked like for a company and how they actually got a cooker to market that has never been part of their makeup before. How long does it take? Why pellets to begin with? How improvements are made? All the fun stuff. Luckily, I was able to track down my next guest with some help from my guy Scott Moody. So let's go ahead and race over to the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX Pellet Grills hotline and welcome first-time guest to the show, Zach Miron. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Greg. How you doing, man?
I am absolutely fabulous. Appreciate you joining me here on the show. Stephen Raichlen was just on before you, Barbecue Hall of Famer. Are you a grilled salad guy?
No, but I'm going to now because that sounded interesting.
Have you ever heard of that before?
I don't think so.
Yes.
I've heard of a wedge salad, a Cobb, all kinds of different salads, but I've never heard of smoking lettuce. So that's definitely something I'm gonna have to try out now.
Before we get into the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX ins and outs and guts and all that fun stuff, quick background on you personally and professionally, if you did anything before Oklahoma Joe's.
Yeah, man. So I joined the service out of high school. So I spent the first about 7 years in the Army, and then got out. And I've been with Charbroil for about 7 years as well. And I'm fairly new to the Oklahoma Joe's team full time, and to the product team specifically. So been doing that for a couple of years now, and just loving every minute of it. It's a very rewarding job, and it's a great fit for me with the brand. Absolutely.
What branch of the service were you in?
The Army.
Army. All right. Any fun stuff? Any one memory stick out to you over those 4 years or so?
No, I have a couple of memories that stick out for sure. Nothing too fun to share right now, though.
Oh, one of those. Yikes. All right. What does product manager mean and do? What's the day-to-day like?
Man, so there's a lot of roles and responsibilities that go into being a product manager, but probably the most fun part of my job has to be the fact that I get to come up with new products for the brand. I myself, I'm the parts and accessories guy, so I work alongside the grills and the smokers when we're working on those projects as well. But I get to kind of get in the weeds a little bit and see what are some things that are going to make enhance the cooking experience for us. And like I said earlier, being a user, it's just a really fun job. So yeah, basically getting to come up with the new things that we get to use alongside with our grills and smokers.
So when you come up with an idea and then you pitch it, does it start to go through a mock-up or a prototype run, and then at some point people either like, yeah, it's something that we can now fully produce, or it was really good up until this point, now we realize it's a loser and on the scrap heap, and then do you keep, much like Jackie the Jokeman used to keep all of his jokes that he gave to Howard Stern, and the ones he used he put in this folder, and the ones that he didn't use he put in a separate folder? Do you do the same thing with accessory ideas?
Yeah, I'd say so. Accessories are a very fast paced as compared to the full size
Sure.
products. That's a whole different process. So for the accessory specifically, I might be see 10 different things in a day that I could try to run with, and got to try to work through that and see what makes sense for our brand, for our users, um, but yeah, it's there. I have a long list that I keep of I'll just call them good ideas, and some of them are actually good ideas and some of them are probably terrible ones. But yeah, sometimes it can be as simple as seeing something that's already out there, and it might be a good idea for us to look at, and so it can move pretty quick at that point. But if it's an accessory that might be more tied to a specific product we're going to roll out, there might be quite a bit more development that goes into it. So there's it varies quite a bit. So that's the other fun part of it.
Zach Miron joining us here on the show, product manager at Oklahoma Joe's. The website, of course, oklahomajoes.com. Originally, and if you're a fan of the show, nobody's surprised that Oklahoma Joe's, or it's not a secret that Oklahoma Joe's was originally founded as an offset pit. Joe Davidson has been on the show a number of times, Barbecue Hall of Famer. It's an amazing story at startup. As the sale of the company happens, and then W.C. Bradley / Oklahoma Joe's, under that umbrella starts to take over and looks to diversify. When did the talk of adding pellet cookers even start? Do you know when that got into the mix?
I can't tell you when those discussions first began. I know, we rolled out Rider, the first gen, in 2020, I believe. So it had to be, sometime before that. Unfortunately, I wasn't on the product team at that point, so I can't give you a better time than that. Probably 2019, 2018, I'd have to say.
When something like this is happening, how much is the company evaluating, okay, this is what's currently happening in the market, and this is how we feel we might be able to stand out? In other words, where do you think Oklahoma Joe saw a market opportunity to bring that first version of the Rider to market?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. We're always looking for trends and what's happening in the world of barbecue, and what is some of the competition doing. And Traeger, obviously, I don't have to
Who?
everyone knows Traeger started started the whole pellet thing, and so it was it was a huge opportunity. And so I think we probably took a long hard look at it and said, yeah, okay, this would be worth our time to get into. That being said, we're gonna do this the right way. We don't want to just rush out a pellet grill to try to get a chunk of this. We want to give a thoughtful product to our users. So yeah, I think to answer your question, yeah, it was definitely a huge opportunity, and we just wanted to make sure we did it right.
Currently, the Generation 2 or Gen 2 or whatever you call it is in the market right now. So if we look back at that initial release, or let's call it Gen 1, for instance, what was good? What went well with Gen 1, and what didn't go so well?
Yeah, we had some category firsts, as I understand it, to the pellet world, and some things like the quick draw hopper, the removable ash cup, the kind of integrated accessory, flex accessory program. the smoke sear zone. Some of those things we really looked at. Okay, what is a pellet cooker, and what are the shortcomings of it? And we tried to answer those questions, and I think we did a pretty good job at that. So I think we nailed it from kind of an innovation and a user experience dynamic. I think we learned some lessons. First time really in the electronics business. So there were some lessons there. I think some things like the Auger Motor, temp sensors, just the pit control itself. I think once we got it out there and we're able to see how our users were interacting with it, it taught it, showed us some things that we're able to work on.
What is Gen 2 bringing to the market now? Like, what were some of those major improvements that you think put it over and above where the first roll was?
Yeah, so mainly the pit control 2.0. We kind of revamped the pit control itself, and it's a bit more of an intuitive experience. I think there's timers on it you can set down. There's option for 4 meat probes coming out of the controller. It can go. There's 2 cook chamber temp probes for a much more accurate monitoring. There's little things like rubber treaded wheels and swivel casters. That's an unbelievably smooth rolling for how big it is specifically. But we kept the accessories are a great component to this, and we kind of obviously kept the ability to use those and are trying to add some more. But basically just wanted to bring a little bit more control and a bigger one thing I almost forgot. The one thing we definitely took a look at was the Auger Motor. And so this Gen 2 has it's over twice as many like Newton meters, so torque, as the Gen 1 initially launched with. So that's quite an improvement there. And there's also some really cool technology that went into the auger tube itself. We were able to get some innovation in the auger tube itself to try to relieve some of those jam problems people experience. So yeah, just all around, just trying to look at what those pain points were and how can we fix them for our users.
It's a nice big LCD screen, big roll knob. That's nice. Push it in to set, much like some of the other things do right now, although they're typically much smaller than that big wheel that's on the Rider DLX, at least to my experience here. And it's been fairly short-lived, but working through it right now. What's not on there? Wi-Fi, an app control. Do you guys follow the current lawsuit that's going on with Traeger and Green Mountain Grills? And does that, maybe there was, I'm speculating, maybe there was some talk with OKJ that you're like, we got to get this on here. And then quickly you look at where the market is and you're like, oh, wait a second, there's a lawsuit going on. Well, we were just going to hold back and see how everything shakes out with these guys first before this is something we decide we want to take a look at installing on a grill.
Yeah, it's like, we'll wait and see what happens there. No, I'm not personally, I'm not intimately familiar with the details of that. I'm sure there are some folks on the team that are. I can tell you what I do know is whether it's an app or some kind of technology, or whether it's kind of a more fundamental basic redesign or feature on one of our offsets. Anything we do is it's gonna be done right, and that's kind of the mindset we have at it. So to get back to your question about more technology on it, we're certainly for adding technology as it comes along in the game and seeing what we can do with it, but it's got to be done right. We're not going to rush anything out just to get it out the door and say we have one too. That's you have a unique perspective here. I love to ask this question to all the especially pellet cookers that come on here, because as you said, it's they're all of a sudden quickly becoming a software and technology company instead of just a hardware/cooker company like they had been in years past. When you guys are putting technology on here, is there a running debate within whoever the brain trust is in, we need to have at least X amount of technology on a cooker to make it competitive, because we don't want to not have it and have it be sitting by brand B that has it, and the consumer goes, well, this one has it,
This one does it. I'm going to buy the one that has it. And we have no idea if John or Judy is going to actually take that home and use the technology, but maybe that's what put them over the edge because it had it, and that was the reason they're buying it, not necessarily because they're going to use it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a valid point, and I think there's some people out there that pick their products that way, and that's fine. I may even be guilty of doing that a time or two in my life. Who knows? But for something like this, we really I can't emphasize that enough. We're not gonna put bells and whistles on there just because everyone else is doing it, and so we've got to throw it on there too. We'll absolutely look at it, and if it's something we can do. But if it doesn't make sense, or if we can't do it right and in a timely manner, then we're not going to do it. I myself, I'm somebody who probably likes to have technology and likes the option of it and likes having it there to help, my experience or my skills. But if I don't want to have to use it, and if I don't want to use it, I like not having to. So that's certainly kind of another lens we try to look at, at some product development through is having it there, having the right features, but not relying on them or not doing them poorly to where it ruins your experience.
Do you get feedback from customers saying, hey, I have this grill and I wish there was more stuff on it?
I can't say that I've seen any feedback like that specifically. It may exist. There's so many channels where that stuff comes in. It's hard to stay up on it all. I try to dig through the reviews as often as I can for various things, but I can't say I've seen anything like that where anyone's necessarily been asking for more technology or features.
Anything in the new release hopper we're going to get scooped on tonight by chance? Hopper pun intended. I
can't tip
by the
my
way.
hand too much. Yeah, hopper pun intended. Man, I without giving away too much, I can say that it's again, it's a really exciting time to be on the product team at Oklahoma Joe's, and we've got some really good stuff in the pipeline. I can't give away too much more. Rider specifically, I think we're excited about the Gen 2 and getting some of that feedback, much like we did on the Gen 1, and seeing how we can learn from that and roll out even better Gen 3 maybe. So
Zach Miron is the product manager over at Oklahoma Joe's, website oklahomajoes.com. Zach, really appreciate the conversation tonight. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. There he is, Zach Miron right there.
All guests appear via the Oklahoma Joe's Rider Deluxe Pellet Grills hotline.
Talking about Gen 1, talking about the current model, Gen 2, and where it's all at right now. Appreciate that conversation with Zach. Another first-timer. 2022 is out of the gate. Perhaps a record-breaking year of new guests to the show. A Guy the Cooking Sam is saying, this is going back to Stephen Reichlen's segment, grilled salad got shit on Kitchen Nightmares. Consider the source. Sam, Guy, consider the source. I will consider this source, Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. From the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers, Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Known for the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Regular Money, Triple Secret Steak, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow. Let me tell you something. I am finding right now in the Rempe house the winning seasoning combination. My own West Coast offense for steak is base layer and a pretty good medium coat of Cash Cow, and then over the top of it with an equal amount of Double Secret Steak rub. Everybody's raving. Look, these broads don't rave about much, but the steak they're raving about, they love it. So I recommend Cash Cow Double Secret Steak. Second, just my suggestion. You do what's right for your palate. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce. So if you want a new go-to sauce because you're tired of all the other stuff that's existing in the market today, why not give Granny's a try? And they're selling cookers. You know this. Are you looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa's the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you don't know what grill you need, call them, 877-828-0727, and ask all the questions you want. They'll make sure you're outfitted with the one that fits you best. You can also shop their website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. Big Papa Smokers, longtime sponsor of the show, and we certainly appreciate that. We are going to wrap up the first hour. Questions, comments, and or otherwise, get them in here, Greg, at the BBQCentralShow.com, and we will be right back. Stand by.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We thank Zach Miron for joining us from Oklahoma Joe's last segment. This segment brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring. Or connect via Bluetooth if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home. You're in luck. Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232. Working on a upcoming conversation with Ted Conrad, one of the principals over at Fireboard. He's actually getting a new microphone. He sent me a email the other day and said, hey, looking into this mic, what do you think? That's a guy who's ahead of the game. He is ahead of the game. He knows sound quality is numeral uno when it comes to this show. You want to make your listening experience a nice like, everybody. This comment coming in from Guy the Cooking Sam. This gets more corporate every month. Does it?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Great entertaining content from people who may or may not be sponsors of the show is corporate. Guy, how dare you?
How dare you?
I can make this show corporate. Don't make me do that. I'll wear a suit. We'll punch in and out. We will never go overtime because I don't want to pay anybody overtime. We'll start at X. We will end at X. I will be in a suit. You will be required to wear professional dress as you're listening and watching. It will not be fun. So, I'll keep doing it this way if that's all the same. Of course it is. If you have questions about the Rider, or if it's something that you're considering, you should email me because I'll be pretty much learning right along with you. Mine is only a couple weeks old because they sent me a new one because the first one didn't work. But the second one is up and running. I've done so far chicken on the sear portion of it. Much to my surprise, it's hot. Like surprisingly hot for a pellet cooker, but that's what happens, I guess, when you have direct access over the burn pot. So that's nice. I've also done the very rudimentary sausage types. Bratwurst, Italian sausage, regular hot dogs, cheese-flavored hot dogs, cheddar-frilled bratwursts, all that. So I'm just waiting to get a weekend where we can do the full sous vide of steaks, and then I can get that DLX turned all the way up, sear mode, and actually see how well the searing takes place on steaks. That's what I want to see. I'm going to be very excited for that. Just got to get that a weekend. We're very busy. I mean, just this week alone has been harrowing. You can't really see it here. Well, you can see it here, but you can't see the puncture wound here where a neighbor's cat bit my hand, scratched me, infection in the hand because cats are dirty. We all know that because they pee on my floor on my computer. Had to get a tetanus shot, had to be on Augmentin, almost lost my hand because cats are crazy. And I was driving a U-Haul to Seton Hill yesterday to drop off some furniture for some rat hole that my daughter's going to be living in, slums out there. And the U-Haul broke down, yes. How's your week? We'll be back right after this. Stick around.
Hello, this is Jenny Bell from Clarington, Ohio, and I'm listening to Barbecue Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish, what?
He ate 2 feet or wiener. Oh, listen, Liberty, it's a shake face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show. We talk about live fire barbecue and grilling items right here in
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the show.
We'll do it live.
It's also being recorded. First hour will go out a little bit later tonight. You'll probably see it in the morning. Second hour Thursday, and I'll tell you about Friday here in just a few moments. Still to come on this very show this evening in the second hour, the Texas Monthly barbecue editor Daniel Vaughn, the first full-time barbecue editor ever in the country, perhaps the world. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, my new favorite place, TikTok, and the Snapchats. You can follow me on Snapchat, but guess what? I never check it. And save yourself the effort of friending me up and then hating me every time you go into Snapchat, realizing I haven't accepted your friend request. I'm not accepting you. I don't go in. I'm not accepting Snapchat by proxy, not accepting you. But if I was in Snapchat, I would definitely be adding you as a friend or accepting you as a friend or whatever the hell it is you do on that. But I have the account just in case I decide to spark that up. But TikTok is my jam right now. The Oklahoma Joe's one that I posted from a couple weeks ago has got 40,000 views or whatever it has, and almost 60 comments, which is unheard of. Like, nobody really comments on TikTok. Well, they do, but not a lot of my stuff. That one's got a lot of comments on it. It's really the pinnacle of my TikTok career now at almost 1,400 followers inside of just a couple months. Not breaking any necks by any stretch of the imagination, but that seems to be working for some kind of promotion, I guess. But it makes me feel nice. Dave's Got Beer is watching live on Twitch, the most stable of all video platforms. If you ever go on Facebook because I'm using copywritten music and they ban me immediately, or YouTube gets a stick up their ass and don't want to show me for whatever reason, or my stream isn't going out there, Twitch never fails. So twitch.tv/BBQ Central Show. Anyway, let me get through this. At BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook, and the aforementioned Twitch, /RD Rempe on YouTube as well. And if you just want to hear us and not look at us like Johnny Mags, then you can check us out on Clubhouse, as we have an audio feed in there as well. Lastly, you can get one ad-free podcast feed experience through Apple Podcasts. So if you listen there and you don't like the ads, then subscribe there, no ads, and you pay for me every month, or one time up front for the year. Very, very inexpensive. I think for the year it's $970,000.
I made $970,000 last year. How much?
That's right. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 234, taking you back to June 21st, 2011. My guest this time around is fan favorite Ted Reeder, and we talk about planning a party and being able to enjoy it instead of being trapped in working the party instead of being able to enjoy the party. That's the worst. It's really the worst. You want to have this great party. You want to entertain. You want everybody to love you. But you don't plan right. You pick the worst things that you could cook. And you're all trying to do it while everybody's showing up. You're at wit's end. Well, good news. 11 years ago, Ted Reeder was on the show to tell you how to not fall into that trap. Maybe you've been doing it ever since the show has aired. I don't know what you're up to. But Ted can help you break that cycle. He gives you a number of tips to help guard against that. We also talk about appetizers, main dishes, all evergreen stuff, and all good stuff. As I was listening back, I did note Ted did seem a little bit more subdued than the normal energy ball that he is. However, the info, still great 11 years later. And if you aren't familiar with Ted, really good introduction to him. You can actually go onto the Barbecue Central Show homepage in the little search icon, in the little search field, and just type Ted Reeder, R-E-A-D-E-R, Ted Reeder. All of his segments will appear over the life of the show. Inevitably, you will find the segment that referenced lamb testicles. If you look hard enough, you will find it, and it is one to remember. Don't forget, if you want to hear a guest or segment again on the show that's been lost in the archives, or just something you want to hear again, email John, let him know what you would like to hear, Jon at thebbqcentralshow.com. You might be saying, hey, isn't that the same guy that's your Michigan embedded correspondent? 100%, that guy. He does the Best Moments show. Upcoming shows for the rest of June include... You know what they include. Next week. Oh, we are here. The pinnacle of American Idol Barbecue Central show every season comes down to the finals. Me and Rusty will be going head to head. We have our duet in the can, recorded. That's one that you won't be expecting. If you want to start guessing in the instant chat, first time I see it right, I will give you a prize. I guarantee you will not guess it. And it's not Islands in the Stream. Although that was recommended by Rusty, but I quickly nixed that. But next week we will be doing the finals for Barbecue Central show American Idol Season 3. So look forward to that. Plus remember, we do sing live next week in the finals as we have done in years past. It's going to be great. Also in July, Derek Riches, of course, next week as well, prior to the embedded correspondence. That'll close out June. And then in July, Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue. No, not Dancing Queen. Good guess, but definitely not that. Also in July, you will hear from a first-time guest. Who, you ask? One of the most influential writers of our time, Larry Olmstead, will be in. I looked back through a Twitter direct message. I reached out to him like 5 years ago, and then I just happened to see him write a tweet. Is that where I saw it? And I went back in. I was like, oh, yeah, this guy. Oh, he replied to a Michael Simon barbecue message. Said, the best barbecue in Los Angeles is at Mabel's Barbecue Los Angeles. And Simon had retweeted that, and I was like, hey, look at this guy. I should reach out to him. And I went back into the DMs, and I sure had reached out to him and just lost track of it. So we've had conversation. We're putting it together. He will be in for the first time in July. Actually planning a whole hour for him because I believe there's that much potential content to get to. So look for Larry Olmstead, along with the traditional cast of characters. Leanne Whippen will be in probably towards the end of July as well. So we'll talk about her induction into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and we'll probably try and do an origin story as well. I wanted to mention this. I'm not real big on the eulogies, people passing away. I know I did it with Ray Basso a handful of weeks ago with Derek Riches, of course. And that guy being the founder of the Barbecue Forum, but he was, fairly big impact here just in the barbecue culture in general, especially when I had first started to get into it. But specifically to this show, I can go back through since the very beginnings of this show, and there are a very small handful, a select club of listeners that I can say, you know what, he's been with me or she's been with me since the very beginning. Diva Q been with me since the very beginning, even before any podcast, just back in the message board. So she's been on the long haul ever since we got started. As I always say, we started together, literally. She's since risen to cataclysmic fame. I'm here. There was a listener, Don Geiger, went by Don G on a lot of the forums. He passed away earlier last week after an apparent blood illness. I don't know if it was a blood cancer or not. One of the original listeners / super fans of the show would always reach out, would always email, was a huge fan of Chris Lilly and Big Bob Gibson. So I put in a call, said, hey, this guy's in New York. If you're ever looking for help. And what do you know, 5 years in a row, I had reached out to Chris and told him the passing of Don G. And he said, wow, he actually worked with us on the team there at the Big Apple Block Party 5 years in a row. As you can see, Don is in the lead there. He's got a Barbecue Central radio show cap, which is highly illegal anymore. Not sure who the guy in the middle is, if that's one of Chris's sons. But then, of course, famed pitmaster Chris Lilly is in that picture, too, on the far with the right-hand shirt, or with the red shirt, putting all those sandwiches together, rocking some Tito's in the background. So let's raise a handle of Tito's to Don G as we send him off one last time as a fan favorite and a true barbecue ambassador. I had talked to him sometime, but we had emailed a handful of months ago. So sad to see him pass away. And again, one of the original fans and listeners of this show. So, Don, you'll be missed, and certainly appreciate all the listenership and dedication you gave to the show all the years. All right, we will be getting to Mr. Daniel Vaughn here in just 1 second. I'll talk to you about Yoder Smokers designing and building all of their pits right here in the United States, building pride through craftsmanship and world-class customer care. That's the backbone of how they've built the company. This approach translates into what can be a truly bespoke style product that elevates gatherings with friends and family, honored to have a trusted place in the backyards of America. From pellet grills to wood-fueled offset pits and charcoal grills, consistent blue ribbon flavor has become synonymous with the Yoder Smokers name. Make no mistake, Yoder Smokers flavor-driven design, unique to each style of pit. And the team has developed their cookers to perform time and time again while outlasting the competition for generations to come. It's this generational thought that's rooted in the handmade products, defines the integrity of the core values. American-made quality, endless flavor, the benchmarks of Yoder Smokers. Visit yodersmokers.com and grab yours today. We are back with Daniel Vaughn right after this. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show, presented by the Rider DLX pellet grills from Oklahoma Joe's. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. Whether you are just a beginner or you are a steeped professional, definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them Barbecue Central Show sent you. In fact, just sent 3 opportunities for Noah Glanville to come on the show through next month and into August, so we'll see if he takes any of those. Joining me in the second hour tonight, the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine. You see him on the show quarterly as we talk about the goings-on in Texas and the barbecue world in general. We race to the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX hotline. And welcome back, our pal, Daniel Vaughn. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, we are great. Great to have you back. 3-month hiatus, as I think were you in England last time or the greater UK area? Is that a thing?
Yes. I was in London with the family over spring break and got to enjoy a few barbecue meals while I was over there. Texas Joe's barbecue and Smokestack as well. Both doing very different types of barbecue, but definitely both influenced by Texas.
Is the Smokestack one? I might get out of my depths here really quick as I start to think about what I'm going to say. Is that the Mitch Benjamin one that he had, or did he had a hand in putting together?
He may have. I'm not really certain about it, but it's got a little bit fancier version of barbecue. Actually, one of the things that was really memorable was the smoked cod roe and olive oil appetizer that was meant to spread on bread. And as I was eating it, I was like, "Oh, this is smoked fish mayonnaise. Like that's what this is." Right?
Were you just eating with a spoon?
It's eggs and oil whipped together. It just happens to be smoked fish eggs instead of chicken eggs and oil whipped together. So, yeah, it was actually quite enjoyable. But the smoked chicken wings there, the pork rib, yeah, they had some good stuff there. Texas Joe's, crazy enough, the most memorable thing. Not that the barbecue was bad, but the cheese fries. Something about the cheddar cheese over in England. Just there's nothing really to compare it to here.
In the past, and I'm talking past, I've heard from folks that are either UK residents or English residents that say, the meat's okay, but it's nothing really to write home about, or it's not like what you have over in the States. Has that since ramped up, would you say?
I do think it has ramped up some, but certainly if you are looking for that good fatty cornbread prime beef that you would normally get in an American brisket, you're not going to get that same sort of sensation over there from the beef, and that goes with the steakhouses as well. It's certainly on the gamier side of things, which I think for a lot of Europeans that's what they look for in beef, is to have that really dense beefiness and that more grassy, earthy flavor in the fat, more developed, yellower fat. The thing is, in the U.S., the thing that we love, it's not so much corn-fed or marbled or whatever. We like young beef. We like really young beef. We like it to be slaughtered young, and over there they let it mature a little bit longer and are more patient with letting it mature.
So when you say we and they, in terms of just some dope like me or the guy down the street, I don't think we have any idea if we're eating young beef or old beef. Why wouldn't we let our beef age up? Wait, I guess, am I completely wrong in that assumption? You might be different than most considering what you do, but for just the consuming public, I don't know if they have any idea what age beef they're eating at all. They just think they're eating steak.
Yeah, that's right. I go back to years ago. My daughter's now 13. And so she knows better. But, when she was younger, she would talk about, where the meat comes from. And, well, it's just like really old cows, right, Dad? That they are about to, that are about to die anyway. It's like, nope, we like them young. Like
Wow, just bringing that truth. Sorry, honey.
I'm sorry, kiddo. If you're eating American beef, there's a 99% chance that you're eating beef that is 2 years older or younger.
Wow.
And in the UK, it's it's not abnormal to have beef that's 3 years old. There are certainly some places that really they market their really old beef, like in areas of Spain where 10-year-old, 12-year-old cattle are prized for their highly developed flavor. I remember the first meal I ate in Barcelona when I went there was a steakhouse, and they had a whole carcass dry aging behind a glass case on display at the restaurant. And I ate a 7-year-old dairy cow that had been aged for 8 months or so. Like, it was old beef. And
old beef on many different levels.
Old beef on many different levels, yeah. And the grassiness of the fat, the color of the fat is a lot different. And the marbling, it isn't there like we see in prime American beef, because here we do it, we slaughter them young because we want to spend as little time and money on the feed as possible before getting a return on that investment.
Taste-wise, is it just personal preference? Like you think it's? I'm not saying you, but would you say, it's more, for lack of a better term, it tastes more mature? There's a bigger depth of flavor, or the fattiness has a different, I'm going to make up a word, unctuosity to it, where the younger stuff is, just what we're used to. I mean, would it, cost aside, could it sell and be real big here?
Well, I mean, I think that if you looked at the idea of letting meat rot and get moldy in a case in a controlled environment for sometimes a year to get dry aged beef that we now prize in steakhouses, I think if you'd introduce that to the to the idea of American restaurants 20 years ago, you would have been laughed at. But we accept it now. It's prized. You pay a premium for it. And I think there's an audience for all types. I mean, I know there are people who are happy to pay a premium price for dry aged beef, and people who would much rather just pay for your standard wet aged beef and get a better deal on it, and they enjoy the flavor more. But yeah, it is more unctuosity. I think just in general, it's just tougher as well. I mean, it's an older animal. It's really the big difference. It's really a similar difference between mutton and lamb. If you've ever had mutton, it's got a much gamier, sheepy flavor, especially if it is a wool producing sheep. It's going to have even more of that lanolin flavor. Whereas what we generally enjoy here in the States is lamb, which is really young sheep. It's kind of a trend, right?
Huh. Yeah, I never thought about it. I mean, that's a great way to describe it. So, and I'm just kind of a new lamb adopter. I think it's been 2 years now, but prior to that, I had never had any lamb. I think my dad ate lamb, but it was kind of foreign to me. Never really had any interest in it. And then when I was at Noah Glanville's house, staying over there for a volleyball tournament with my daughter, his kids wanted it for dinner. They were like good kids. And these were like young, especially then, it was 3 years ago, whenever it was. They were younger kids. And they were like, oh, we want lamb. I was like, what the hell is wrong with these kids? They want lamb? Like, that sounds weird. And we made it. And I was like, wow, these kids are the smartest kids I've ever met. And it makes sense. I mean, look at their parents. But, and I've been a devout lamb eater ever since. One time, Pat LaFrida was on the show, and he said, I'm no lamb connoisseur. Maybe you have a much more expanded palate than me when it comes to lamb. He said, New Zealand lamb is some of the worst lamb you can get. And I've had other people who are either from that area of the country or Australia go, he said that? And they're like, some of the best lamb ever is actually coming from New Zealand. Do you have a thought on that?
I mean, I don't really have a real strong opinion about New Zealand lamb. I know that there are a lot of good lamb producers in and around Texas. The Capra Farms, if you order off of their website, they use it's really about the lamb breed. If you grew up and you ate lamb for the first time and it tasted like, the sheep barn at the county fair smelled, good chance you were eating a breed of lamb that is bred for its wool, and it has a high lanolin content, and it has that in the fat as well, especially in the fat. And if you get a meat lamb, like a Dorper breed, then it doesn't have those sort of off flavors. So a lot of it is just choosing the right lamb. It's kind of the same thing with duck. Like if you get a Rohan duck, it's got much less of those gamier flavors. It's a more mild duck, and so it's not going to taste like a wild duck that you go out hunting for.
Daniel Vaughn joining us here on the show, Texas Monthly's barbecue editor, tmbbq.com, the website, and you can follow him on the Twitter at BBQ Central Show. Can I pick a nit with you just for a second?
Sure. It happens all the time.
When did this 2 free articles become a thing on the Texas Monthly site before all the hurdles and roadblocks and you suck, you're a cheapskate thing roll up? Because I was doing a little research on the show, and it was like, you only got 1 free article left before we tell you to F off. And I was like, not really. And then I went, and that was it. All of a sudden, I can't read any more of your stuff. I have to be a subscriber in order to get content. I mean, look, porn remains free on the internet, Daniel. Shouldn't TM BBQ be taking their lead from porn?
No.
No?
I'm going to say strongly no. That's not where we take our lead
It's a billion-dollar industry. Maybe tens of billions.
Not TM BBQ. It's not. Sometimes I like to take my kids to the doctor, and that requires medical insurance, and my employer has to pay for that. So sometimes it's nice to get a raise too. So yeah, I'm not going to complain too much. I think, what do we ask for? Like $14 a year, $12 a year.
I don't know. I saw that, and I was like, are you kidding me? Do you know who I am? I'm telling the screen, do you know me? Do you know me? I know. He comes on my show. The screen never says anything back. Crispy.
Do you know I subscribe to Texas Monthly so that I can be able to look at those articles online?
I don't believe that for 1 second. You wrote them. They're on your hard drive.
I have been a subscriber to Texas Monthly since I moved to Texas, and I continue to renew it year after year.
Really?
Yeah. I think most of the people who go to the office, I live in Dallas. The Texas Monthly office is in Austin. And I think most of the folks at the office just pick up the copies there and read them there. And certainly if you're on the network in the office, like there's no, there's no pop-ups and no blockers that show up. But yeah, I've been a subscriber for, 21 years now.
Here's a recent article Daniel Vaughn wrote before I was jammed up. Crispy.
So we're only going to talk about 2 articles today, huh?
Yeah, that's all I could research. No, I have some other things that I've been waiting for over the last few months. Crispy chicken is a thing, or as you put, is having a moment in the article. But crispy chicken is all.
And that's not as I put it. It's the having a moment thing. That's the headline writers. The having a moment thing is long past having a moment in headlines. We need to get rid of having a moment. My whole
What's
point
the better
the
headline?
Like,
you wrote the article.
Well, my whole point with the article is that it's now taken a starring role. A half a smoked chicken was just something that was offered at some barbecue joints, and usually was just seen as a poultry option for people who didn't want the beef or the pork. Right? You had to have it. That was overtaken in the past decade or so, pretty heavily overtaken by turkey breast. Smoked turkey breast, it's easier to cook. It's just easier to hold. It's easier to serve, especially easier to serve small portions of. Whereas a chicken, if you're going to serve it, you're going to serve a half one or a whole one or a quarter of one. And so now, though, I've seen several places really spend a lot more time and attention on the way they're preparing and serving their half chickens.
So is it just somebody decided to add a little bit more heat to it and eat the chicken skin? I mean, look, smoked chicken skin is really Usually it looks really good. It's
smoked
good.
Chicken skin is And as I was writing the article, I didn't realize the article that I was really writing was that, excuse me, I've got as you might have heard in my voice, I've got a little throat thing going on here.
Yeah.
The thing that I really learned myself in researching the article and taking notes on it and over months, like tracking down the places that was doing really great chicken, was the fact that they all, or many of them, had BQ grills, meaning that they had a direct heat cooker. That it's a specific one made in North Carolina. It's portable. It's easy to use, easy to move around. So a lot of people who want a small direct heat cooker and don't want to build like a brick pit or a concrete block pit, buy one of those. And so it's a way of doing direct heat chicken, directly over the coals, and make it to me a lot better than what you can do in an offset smoker. Now you can get good chicken skin out of an offset smoker. Most of the time it's people who really understand their smoker, have shelves in it and have a real hot spot in it, and are moving their chicken up to that hot spot to really get that skin crisp and really get the hot breeze of that smoke flowing over it. But for the most part, the ones that I really loved were places using that BQ and doing direct heat cooking. Of course, Snow's doesn't use a BQ. They use a steel smoker or a steel cooker that was welded together by owner Carrie Bexley, and Tootsie does the mopped half chickens directly over the coals, gets that nice crispy skin. But you're right. There's nothing worse than flabby skin on the chicken, right? And so to be able to get that direct heat, to be able to, even if you smoke it first, finishing it over direct heat really helps really helps you want to be able to eat every morsel but the bones.
So will a lot of the restaurants that are doing this cook them through, let's say, hold, and then as they're ordered, bring them back out to or wherever this high heat grill is and give them a couple minutes to just finish them up and then serve? I mean, that's got to be a little bit more of a hurdle process.
Well, you'd think of it as kind of a hurdle, but it is a way to be able to hold that chicken more easily. If you hold it, for a long time before it's quite done. Excuse me, I'm sorry. If you hold it before it's quite done and then finish it, then you're able to ensure hot, crispy, fresh chicken to every customer who orders it.
Daniel Vaughn joining us here on the show, tmbbq.com, his website at BBQ Snob, if you want to follow him on Twitter. I'm asking, seriously, can I hold you over into the next segment for a little bit, or do you want to call it a day here?
Yeah, you can hold me over. I'll finish off my coughing fit on the break, but yeah, maybe I need to get some carbonated water, maybe some hot tea.
Hot tea, bourbon.
Give me
hot
back
tea,
in
bourbon,
that.
Something like that. Why not?
Maybe bourbon might work. Yeah.
That's right.
We'll see what remedy I can come up with.
All right.
Break.
Then we will be back with Daniel Vaughn here in just one moment. I will do the last piece of business here before we talk about the last couple items. I had mentioned it last week. I'm still actually waiting to circle up with my guy, David McDowell. David Leans, right? Of course. What do we know? It's getting towards the end of June. Soon it's going to be July. And by this time next week, it's going to be the end of December. And then where are we? We wasted a whole year trying to get fit, healthy, lose some fat, all that fun stuff. $200 a month. That's all you have to invest. And now you have access to a pro like David. Did you know that some coaches like this are charging $500 a month? And for what? A canned diet plan and 1 to 2 check-ins a month? Forget it. When you sign up with David, you get access to a resource who's available effectively 24/7. Things have gone so well that he has only a few slots left. People jumping at the $200 saying, hey, I need somebody to help hold me accountable. $200. This is what I'm telling you. So how do you get a hold of them? Well, when you're in the program, you can eat barbecue all year round, and you've got assistance around the clock. Just a text message, an iMessage, or a WhatsApp message, or an email away. He's also available to FaceTime, Zoom, WhatsApp, video chat, whatever you need, even on short notice. Kidding? It's great. Hit up the website, davidleans.com/BBQ. That's davidleans.com/BBQ, and join me as we decide to take control of the fitness of the diet and lose the fat. Come on, davidleans.com/BBQ, $200 a month. Join me. Let's do it together. We're back with Daniel Vaughn right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion being brought to you by Smithfield. Head to smithfield.com right now for recipes as well as tips and tricks from well-known live-fire cooks like Darren Worth, Jess Pryles, Giles Cridlin, Mouth-watering flavor and no artificial ingredients. Smithfield Fresh Pork is quite simply some of the finest pork money can buy. The trusted choice of top cooks at competitions and at home. And yes, for whatever reason, there was a weird buffer going on. Maybe my software was having a coughing fit, was jealous of our guest, Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly. Who knows? Hopefully you're all cured out there. If you're going to cough again, if you want to just hold the hand up, I can, actually dump it out, and it'll be nice, clean audio, whatever you want to do, no problem. Absolutely.
I got some of the some Treaty Oak bourbon here. So
Treaty Oak, all right. What are the flavor notes on that?
Well, bourbony. It's very bourbony.
Well, I can't taste the thing because I can't smell, and I'm. It's got a level of unctuosity to it.
Full disclosure here.
Wait a second.
After two
Hold on.
plus
Barbecue
years.
Central Show exclusive news update.
Welcome to the breaking news desk. Greg Rempe right here in Cleveland, Ohio, that breaks the most live-fire breaking news as it's breaking across the country, nay, the globe, as we go to Texas for this breaking news and Daniel Vaughn.
Well, after 2+ years into the pandemic, I popped my first positive COVID test this morning. So
you're kidding?
Yes. So just to show you the dedication that I have to the Barbecue Central show.
I fear if it would be like tomorrow or the next day, we might be in dire straits here, depending on what kind of an effect it might have. Not to one-up anybody, but my wife, it was like 2.5 or 3 weeks ago, right along the same timeline, you, myself, my wife, all COVID-free all along this time, and she went to work for the first time in like 6 months after getting her knee replaced, and she works in a nursing home, and you got to get COVID tested when you go in, and she started to walk away, and the lady's like, "Oh, honey, come back here," and she's like, "You're positive, get out," and away she went, and she was sick as a dog for a week, and then finally in that second week it started to throttle back a little bit, but hopefully you don't get any worse than this. You getting any fevers or, what are the symptoms at the moment?
I haven't gotten any fevers. I mean, I was happy about the fact that over several years I haven't really had the sort of sinus infections that I get pretty, at least a couple of times a year. I haven't had to deal with those for a long while now, thanks to, all the mask wearing and just not going into the office, things like that. And this is basically what it is, right? I've got nose congestion, sore throat, and that's pretty much what I've got going on. So, the congestion. I've been, I won't go into all the remedies that I've been going through, but the best one thus far has been the Treaty Oak here.
Yeah,
it's the day drinker, even though it's dark.
Yes. Well, whatever we can do to quell the symptoms. And so we hope it doesn't get any worse for you there. So let's continue on here. Your, counterpart or colleague or whatever the correct term is here, Chuck Blount from the San Antonio Express News, or perhaps it's News Express, I forget. He wrote an article semi-recently that we chatted about here on his last visit about something making its way onto the menu of pretty esteemed barbecue restaurants. And he noted a smoked burger was showing up on more and more menus. So, can you, as a barbecue editor, the first full-time barbecue editor in the country, can you corroborate that? And if so, your thoughts about a burger making it onto the barbecue menu?
Yes, absolutely. In a headline that I did write and they kept, I wrote about burgers being the new sausage. Because, the sausage for the longest time, old meat market style barbecue joints, the sausage came from the scraps from trimming away the brisket and trimming off the flap on the spare ribs, things like that. And that's where you got the meat for the sausage. It was all those trimmings, grind them up, season them up, and stuff them into a casing and smoke it, and you've got that smoked sausage. But I think a lot of pit masters who maybe don't have all the equipment or the time or the help to create those sausage links have realized that a lot easier way to be able to use up those scraps is grind up that all those brisket trimmings and turn it into a nice fatty smoked burger.
Do you think sausage is overrated?
No, absolutely not. No, I love a smoked burger. I mean, it's delicious. But as far as I was at Brick's Barbecue in Fort Worth a few weeks ago, and they had just they had just gotten through a lot of different rounds on their jalapeno cheese sausage, and I ordered several other things. I was actually there for the chicken, the direct heat chicken, but they said, you got to try the sausage link. We think we've got it. And I took a bite into it, and I mean, that taut casing, like you could just see the fat running underneath the casing, and you could see the jalapenos and the cheese underneath. I took a bite of it and just like burst, and there's that sort of experience you can only get with a smoked sausage, like a well-smoked, just super juicy, nice, snap to the casing. These are all those things you can only get in a sausage. It's an eating experience that you can't really replicate with, a pork rib or brisket or a smoked burger. No, sausage is not overrated.
Is smoked burger more in the fattish category at the moment, or do you think that's something that's just going to remain because of you being able to utilize those scraps and trimmings? Does make for a good burger. Will that stick?
I think it will stick. I think the reason that the smoke burger I think will stick is because if you wanted to use up all those trimmings, and by the way, with the price of brisket, there's no throwing away brisket scraps anymore, right? And I think that's a good thing to continue, right? We shouldn't be throwing away perfectly good beef that could be ground up into a burger just because, even if brisket's cheap. But I think the easier thing to do would be to do it on a flat top, right? A lot of the smash burgers, things like that, but you need a flat top, and that's not just like a fryer. That's one of those things that not every barbecue joint has, but every barbecue joint does have a smoker. So you can always smoke those burgers whether or not you got the flat top or not. So I do think it's something that's going to stick around. And it's like you got everything else, right? You're going to have buns at a barbecue joint for your barbecue sandwiches. I guess you don't see a whole lot of cheese on a lot of barbecue sandwiches, but it's pickles, onions. These are things that are going to be around at a barbecue joint anyway. So you're not really asking much to keep the smoke burger on the menu.
Do you see Meatloaf at any barbecue restaurants down there?
I've seen Meatloaf. I think Meatloaf was a fad. Meatloaf was one of those things where you saw it at a bunch of places. I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and I don't really see smoked meatloaf much anymore. And I think it's because it's unlike a burger that's really able to take smoke on all sides. The meatloaf's really just going to get smoke on top. And then where do you put the sauce? Whether it's a ketchup-based sauce, a barbecue sauce, where do you put the sauce on that meatloaf? It's going to be on top, right? So you're not going to get much of a crust on it. And unless you're smart enough to do it in a perforated pan and get rid of a lot of that fat, the slices get kind of sloppy and just kind of fall apart because there's so much fat in there. And yeah, so meatloaf I think is a fad that's come and mostly gone, but I think the smoke burgers are here to stay.
Robert Moss was on the show last week, and he was talking about a trip that he had there. That's right, your Carolinian nemesis. He was really speaking about how the side dishes in Texas were really smacking down there, and that worked us into a discussion about my opinion on side dishes and his opinion. Oddly enough, they were differing. He was very all about side dishes and how this is a great thing and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? Fuck side dishes. I'm going down to eat barbecue. I could care less if you got great beans or an Asian spun, whatever the hell it is. I want brisket. I want turkey. I want chicken. I want the stars of the show. If there's a good side dish, great. Banana pudding's a different story. But side dishes, I don't care. Where do you fall on that?
I love side dishes. I mean, I'm.
Does it factor into your when you're judging or when you're evaluating a restaurant?
Well, I mean, does it factor in? I mean, everything factors in, but it's like the meat is first when you're talking about judging a barbecue joint. I mean, it's about the meat. But if you've got a place, you got two places that are a couple blocks from each other. One of them does incredible brisket, incredible turkey, sausage, ribs, right? The next one does all of those as well, but instead of canned baked beans and a tub of potato salad from their restaurant supplier, they make their own, or they're a place like Interstellar Barbecue that has their smoked scallop potatoes, which if you have had those one time, then you would no longer say side are. Oh my god!
You all right? Uh-oh!
Get that big stuff out of here.
What was chilling is right before the. I'm going to guess that he's going to show up here in just a second. But what was chilling, he must have seen it going away quicker than I saw the connection going away. And did anybody else hear that right here? Oh, my God. Like he saw somebody in the complete blackness behind him coming over his shoulder, and maybe we're now witnessing the former Daniel Vaughn of Texas Monthly Barbecue. But that was somewhat chilling. Really? Wow. Really weird. So, or maybe the COVID symptoms are just now, boom, overtaking him. He's like, wow, chills, the fever, everything. Even worse, maybe he's really gone. Not in that way, but like the battery died, or, who knows? We learned last week when talking with John Marcus, although we were running on 2 hours at that point, and his computer died because it was powering his microphone as well. So the computer had to power the computer and the microphone. So we learn things here on the show, and that's what it's all about. Did I get through all the reads? 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I did. All right. I feel like we were coming up to the end of the segment there. So it looks like, I'm going to guess now, Daniel's out. But again, that was a very chilling bit of English right there as the connection cut out. So what are we going to do? We'll give Daniel just a second here. I'll watch in my switcher. Also keep an eye out on the email. And we can try and play a game, of course. Everybody loves to win stuff. So if you have a Clubhouse account and you want to jump on over into Clubhouse, we can figure out something to give away. If you wait. There you are.
Man, I think my computer has COVID too. I don't know what just happened, man. My computer completely shut down. I'm plugged in. I got battery. I got everything. It just, boom, dark.
I was just saying it was really chilling that you must have been seeing this happen, a half a second before we could actually see it. Because you can see, you're not looking at the camera, you're looking at the computer, and then all of a sudden here you go, oh my God. And then the connection stopped, and I was like, oh, what came out of the darkness behind him that he saw that we can't see? This is terrible. So
it was Robert Moss.
Yeah, no kidding. He's coming to get you with his Carolinian rice.
Yeah, he met me at Dane's Barbecue in Fort Worth, and I swear he told me a time he was going to meet me, and then he showed up about 15 minutes later, I think just so I would pay for it, because he knew I'd be in line. But we had a delicious burger there as well. We had some good sides. Man, the beans there, they do these beans, and they put Fritos and cheese on top. And it doesn't sound like much, but that really changes the side of pinto beans. That was delicious. But if you still want to talk about sides, I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I love sides. I love the variety in sides. But if you've got a place that has really great meat, and that other place that's just down the street that also has really great meat, but also has great sides and desserts, well, which place am I going to choose? Which place am I not am I going to choose? Am I going to suggest that you go visit? And it's the one that's got the whole package.
When you are evaluating, for instance, Goldie's is sitting atop the Texas Monthly list currently. Do they also have exceptional sides, or they just make really good main star barbecue?
Yeah, well, they do both. They don't have quite the variety of sides that some of the places have, but the ones that they do have are really well made. Even their coleslaw is fantastic. But they do have this one side that you don't find much in Texas, and it's kind of like the smoked burger. It is a pork hash, and they take all their pork trimmings and they turn it into this basically like a pork stew, a pork gravy, and they pour it over top of rice. And it's a South Carolina thing. That's certainly where it. That's where you find pork hash and rice in barbecue joints or as a barbecue side. So there's very few places that do it in Texas, but Goldie's is one of them. Leroy and Lewis is another one in Austin. They do a really great pork hash and rice. And so, Goldie's, just all of their sides, not all of their sides are really outside of the norm, but every one of their sides is really well made.
Daniel Vaughn joining us here on the show. Last topic before I let you go this evening, and appreciate you joining me as always. Obviously, the 2020 Barbecue Hall of Fame class is announced. Leanne Whippen is in, John Marcus is in, Joe Traeger is in, and Mr. Mitchell, that I can't think of his first name for whatever reason.
Ed Mitchell?
Ed Mitchell. Geez, Chuck was like right here for some reason. So Ed Mitchell is in. As you look at the class, do you think that the voting people got it right out of that final list of 9? And does any one or two of the four, not that you couldn't speak on all four, but do any one or two really stick out to you this year for any reason?
Yeah, I think the one I was most happy to see get in, because I think he was probably the longer shot, was John Marcus. And I think long shot because he's not, I think, in the current like barbecue mind, right? He's not on camera doing barbecue shows. He's not at barbecue competitions, winning competitions. He doesn't have a restaurant. But I think his influence in the way that we consume barbecue media, the way that barbecue is cooked, it could be for better or worse, whatever you think of Barbecue Pit Masters, the show he created. But I think his influence is undeniable. And I think that, I'm following Don Wynn here of Koi Barbecue in Houston on Barbecue Brawl. And I mean, all of these barbecue shows, all these barbecue competition shows, they are all born from that Barbecue Pit Master show. And so there are so many of them as well. Like, I can't even watch them all. There's just so many barbecue competition shows out there, most of which end up being grilling shows. But that's a whole other episode here.
Would you say John Marcus is responsible for spawning a generation of barbecuers? Not necessarily just competition, but fostering an interest in competition that without those shows might have not had?
Yeah, fostering an interest in backyard cooking as well. Yeah. Whether it's backyard cooks who maybe for their first 10 briskets thought the only way to get a good one was to inject it, but at least they were back in the backyard cooking, right? And I think that's what that show did more than anything, is just really inspired a lot of people that, they're watching all these guys do it. Like, why can't I do it? Why can't I take the lessons they're showing me on the show and translate it into my own backyard? And that's, the other reason that Traeger is on that list as well. It's just the amount of backyard cooks that the Traeger grill has brought about. But for me, the legacy category, just seeing Bobby Miller up there of the Louis Miller barbecue family, that was one that I think was long overdue as far as a legacy category. And one of those folks that if the Barbecue Hall of Fame had done it right from the beginning and done that large class that every other Hall of Fame does, that really large class of the obvious people who belong from the beginning, that Bobby Miller would have been in that class. And so, it's certainly long overdue that he's in there.
This year, they also, or you guys from the committee, put in that Impact Award. I was told through both Emily Park and through, who else would I have had on? Maybe Robert Moss, that it's not something that needs to happen every year, or it's not something that is mandated that it happens every year. But if for whatever reason a year defines itself as needing to have one, or something is bubbled up to fit in whatever that, I guess, like, how do you see that being defined? What's your interpretation of how that award is being worked?
Well, the reason that we came up with an award like that was that, there were many nominations that came in, either for people or for organizations, for people who ran organizations or helped run an organization that's doing good work. It was hard to determine, like, do we give all the credit for what this or that organization is doing to one person? And it just didn't make sense when, in a lot of senses, it's a group effort for many of those things. So we felt like having an award that would be able to recognize, a whole group of individuals or a specific organization for doing good work in barbecue, that was a valuable thing to have.
Anything new that you're working on you want to tease us with before we let you go and catch up with you 3 months down the road from now?
Well, I did a massive steak tasting in my backyard here, trying 12 different, mostly Texas-raised Wagyu cross beef breeds. Tried a different strip steak from 12 different ones and tried them in a blind tasting and try to see, which ones rise to the top. And I'm not going to publish right away the results of that. I got the top 5 from that group that I'm going to taste the ribeyes side by side and see if there's an obvious difference between them. But it mainly is giving me a good excuse to write about the growing trend of ranchers using a Wagyu bull to cross with their, whether it's Angus or Charolais or sometimes Angus cross heifers, and create a Wagyu cross that is Texas raised, Texas produced, Texas fed, Texas processed, and available to Texas consumers. And so there used to be just a few of these, and now you see a lot more ranches doing this, a lot more ranches putting their specific name brand on them. And I think it's an interesting story. And after I got done tasting many of them, I found a Morris Farms up in Groover, Texas, was the one that fed out a lot of these different individual name brands. And so I'm hoping to go visit them and see what their operation's like and see what they've discovered about, the best way to get that really good marbling on those Wagyu cross animals.
Looking forward to reading that whenever it hits the publish. And it's
going to be beefy.
I can only imagine Wagyu beefy, undoubtedly. We're talking with Daniel Vaughn, the barbecue editor over at Texas Monthly, tmbbq.com, his website. Daniel, always appreciate the time, and we will talk to you in 3 months.
Yes, I'll be there.
All right.
Good talking with you.
And good luck with the COVID, of course.
All guests appear via the Oklahoma Joe's Rider DLX Pellet Grills hotline.
Daniel, of course, a Buckeye, originally, now in Texas. So stay tuned for the beefy writing of Daniel Vaughn. All Texas stuff, right? Of course. Let me quickly scan through here and make sure that I didn't miss anything. That's 3. That's 3. No, we're good. All right, so we will jockey through this portion. We'll come back and wrap the show. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
Thanks to Daniel Vaughn for joining me the last 2 segments in that second hour. Back in the day, wristwatches were made to be worn in the pocket, but after World War II, the wristwatch became in vogue, and the pocket watch quickly became an afterthought, finding its way in the stock drawers and scrap heaps. Quite simply, a tragedy. Enter Vortic Watch, helping bridge the gap between America's storied watch manufacturing past, bringing it to present day where wristwatches are finding incredible popularity once again. And here's the coolest part. Each watch that Vortic makes is unique and one of a kind. Nobody's got one like yours. Vortic founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Right. All right, let's go ahead and get on out. All the way back in the first hour, we had who? Stephen Raichlen, yes. Then we followed him up with first-time guest Zach Miron, product manager from Oklahoma Joe's. And we close it out in the second hour with freshly positive on the COVID side, Daniel Vaughn, barbecue editor over at Texas Monthly, tmbbq.com. By the way, if you heard Stephen Raichlen and said that he offers the mail order barbecue, that's through Planet Barbecue. But if you go to crowdcow.com, I'm sure you can link over through that website to what he's offering, ribs and the beans and all the other stuff that he was selling there. So if you don't want to cook it, July 4th, give Stevens a try if you want to. Why not? And then buy it and then tell me what you think of it. I'd like to know. Big show planned for you next week. Of course, Derek Riches is in, and the culmination of Season 3, Barbecue Central Show's American Idol, where Rusty Monson and I will be singing for our very lives, both recorded and live. You don't want to miss it. How do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Remby. Good night now.